Science 4, Quarter 3, Week 3. Our lesson is about characterizing magnetic force. This is MELC based. For our learning objectives today, number 1, identify the different types of magnet. Number 2, identify objects attracted by magnets. Number 3, describe the force exerted by magnets. And number 4, enumerate scientists who discovered magnets or magnetism. Before we proceed, let us find out what you know about magnets. Direction. Choose the letter of the correct answer and write it on your answer sheet or on your science activity notebook. Question number 1. It is a solid material that has the ability to attract objects made up of metal. Okay, you have 5 seconds to get the answer. The answer is magnet. Question number 2. What do you call the two endpoints of a magnet? A. Circuit. B. Charges. C. Poles. D. Magnetic field. 5 seconds. And the answer is poles. Letter C. Question number 3. In which of the following a magnet is found? A. TV. B. LPG stove. C. Knife. D. Faucet. And the answer is letter A, TV. Question number 4. What makes two magnets attract? A. Both north ends of the two magnets meet. B. When both south ends of two magnets meet. C. Presence of the negative and positive charges. D. The north end meets the south end of another magnet. And the answer is letter D. The north end meets the south end of another magnet. Question number 5. When a magnet is broken down into two pieces, each piece will have blank. A. A north and a south pole. B. Two north poles. C. Two south poles. D. No magnetic property. And the answer is A. A north and a south pole. Question number 6. What will happen if you place your magnets like this? Okay, look at the image, how it is arranged. A. Attract. B. No effect. C. Repel. D. Pull together. The answer is repel. Question number 7. Which of these objects will not be attracted to a magnet? A. 5 peso coin. B. Nail. C. Steel. D. Wooden ladle. The answer is wooden ladle. Letter D. Question number 8. Which of these objects can be attracted by magnets? A. Ball. B. Nail. C. Slippers. D. Rug. The answer is B. Nail. Question number 9. A material was attracted to a magnet. What could the material contain? A. Iron. B. Cement. C. Plastic. D. Silver. The answer is letter A. Iron. Question number 10. An object is a magnet if it attracts A. Blank. A. Cotton. B. Metal. C. Plastic. D. Rubber. The answer is B. Metal. Question number 11. The shape of this magnet makes it very weak because the power is focused on the poles and less at the sides. A. Bar magnet. B. Horseshoe magnet. C. Ring magnet. D. Rectangular magnet. The answer is bar magnet. Question number 12. The shape of this magnet is the strongest because the poles point in the same direction. A. Bar magnet. B. Horseshoe magnet. C. Ring magnet. D. Rectangular magnet. The answer is B. Horseshoe magnet. Question number 13. This English physician and natural philosopher compiled all the information regarding magnetism during his time. A. Jose Rizal. B. Joseph Henry. C. Thomas Edison. D. William Gilbert. The answer is D. William Gilbert. Question number 14. What was Michael Faraday best known for? A. Electricity. B. Electromagnet. C. Electromagnetic induction. D. Compilation of magnets. The answer is electromagnetic induction. Question number 15. Magnets may attract or repel because of the blank. A. Positive and negative charges. B. Presence of an invisible field. C. Different poles. D. Materials near the magnet. The answer is the presence of an invisible field. Okay, let us now talk about the magnet. Are you familiar with magnets? Have you played with it? Did you enjoy trying to experiment on different materials to know which can be attracted and which cannot be attracted by a magnet? What is magnet? A magnet is a material or object that produces a magnetic field. This magnetic field is invisible. When we say invisible, cannot be seen by your naked eye. So the magnetic field of a magnet is invisible, but is responsible for the most notable property of a magnet. So that magnetic field which is invisible is very responsible for the most notable property of a magnet. So, ang nakapaligid daw sa isang magnet na tinatawag na magnetic field is the one responsible to attract or to repel materials. The notable property of a magnet is a force that pulls or other ferromagnetic materials. It pulls ferromagnetic materials. What are those ferromagnetic materials? Such as iron, steel, nickel, cobalt, and others. And it attracts or repels other magnets. So whenever a magnet comes near to another magnet, it depends on how they are arranged together, whether it will attract or repel each other. So that's the characteristic of a magnet. You might never notice, but every day you use magnets. We just don't notice it. But every day we are using magnets. Magnets are everywhere at home. So it is present at your homes. Appliances such as speakers, televisions, and radios use magnets to be able to work. So most of our appliances at home will only work with the presence of magnets. So in this lesson, you will learn some materials which are attracted by magnets and the different kinds of magnets. Let's continue. So that you will understand how magnets work, let us do this activity 1. Activity 1 What materials are attracted by magnets? Okay? These are the materials you needed to perform this activity 1. What are those? Magnet. So this is the magnet. Metal spoon. Rubber ball. You need coins. And then a piece of cloth. Nails. Wires. Sardine can. And paper. Okay. Direction for your activity. Number 1. Take the magnet and place it near each of the materials. So you place the magnet near of each of these materials. Number 2, put a check mark if the material is attracted to the magnet. Number 3, put an X if the material is not attracted to the magnet. And number 4, write your answer in your science activity notebook. Okay. Here's how you're going to present your observation. So you will make an organizer with 2 columns. The first column, list of materials that you have in your activity 1. And then on the second column, your observation. So in your observation, you just mark it check or X. Okay? For your guide questions, so you can have your observation after your activity. Question number 1. What materials were attracted to the magnet? So write your answer on your notebooks. Number 2. What materials were not attracted to the magnet? Number 3. What kind of materials were attracted to the magnet? Oh, so you have to observe. What are these materials that are attracted to the magnet? What are they made up of? So you have to find it out. Okay? Let's continue. So for your learning circuit, after you perform activity 1, your learning will be confirmed by our learning circuit. A magnet is a solid object, usually a rock or piece of metal. It has an invisible force that attracts certain objects. Magnetism is a fascinating invisible force. So that invisible force that a magnet possesses is called magnetism. It influences the environment around it. A magnet is a material that can pull certain types of metal towards itself. Unlike many other forces, magnetism doesn't have to touch the object it affects. Magnets can attract materials like iron, nickel, and cobalt. So these are the materials that can easily attracted by magnets. Materials that are made up of iron, nickel, and cobalt. Take note of that. Some metals like aluminum, brass, copper, gold, lead, and silver are not attracted to magnets. Iron is added to make them stronger and attracted to magnets. So, meaning, these materials mentioned are not attracted to magnets. But if they are added with iron, then magnets now can attract them. Materials like plastic, rubber, and wood are not attracted to magnets. So the materials that you see on the picture, all these materials are not attracted to magnets. Because they don't contain any iron. That's why they cannot be attracted to magnets. The ends of magnets are called its poles. A magnet has a north pole and a south pole. Look at this one. This is the north pole and this is the south pole. And around this magnet is called magnetic field. That is the invisible force that magnets have. There are 4 kinds of magnets. The first is rectangular magnet. Another one is bar magnet. Next is the horseshoe magnet and a ring magnet. A horseshoe-shaped magnet is considered the strongest, while the bar magnet is the weakest. Why do you think the horseshoe is the strongest magnet? Okay, look at the illustration of a horseshoe magnet. It is considered as the strongest magnet because the poles are pointing to one direction. So, it can pull stronger because both poles are facing in one direction. Not like this bar magnet, which is considered as the weakest because their poles are on opposite directions. That's why it is considered as the weakest magnet. Questions. On your notebook, write the answers. Number 1. Which materials are attracted by magnets? Okay. Materials made of iron, nickel, and cobalt are attracted to magnets. So that's how you're going to answer questions, children. Write your answer in a complete sentence. Don't give a shortcut answer. Question number 2. What magnet is the strongest? Write your answer in a sentence format. The horseshoe magnet is the strongest. Question number 3. What is added to some metals to make it attracted to magnets? The answer is iron is added to some metals to make them stronger and attracted to magnets. What more? Let's talk about the force exerted by magnets. Magnets have an invisible magnetic field that attracts certain objects. These objects are made up of metals like nickel, iron, and cobalt. Magnets have two poles, the North Pole and the South Pole. If you break a magnet, there will always be the North Pole and the South Pole, but the force exerted by the magnet is weaker. Look at the illustration. This is an example of a bar magnet. So, this is the North Pole and this is the South Pole, wherein the force is stronger on both ends. And around this magnet is that invisible magnetic field. So, yan. This is the area wherein the magnet has that magnetic force. So another, in this lesson, you will learn about the people behind the discovery of magnets and magnetism. So here are some of these people that contributed knowledge about magnets and magnetism. The first one is Michael Faraday. What does Michael contribute in the discovery of magnets? In 1831, he discovered electromagnetic induction. This electromagnetic induction is the principle behind the electricity generator. Next is Hans Christian Ørsted. He is famous for experiments showing that electricity and magnetism are linked. On April 21, 1820. Definite experimental evidence of the relationship between electricity and magnetism. So, Hans Christian Ørsted is so definite when he made an experiment and he found out that there is a relationship between electricity and magnetism. Next is William Gilbert. William Gilbert is known as the father of the science of electricity. He is a pioneer researcher into magnetism. So, isa siya sa gumawa ng mga research during the time that they discover about magnetism. And he published his compilation of all information about magnetism in 1600. Another one is Joseph Henry. Joseph Henry was an American scientist who pioneered the construction of strong, practical electromagnets and built one of the first electromagnetic motors. He proved the phenomenon called electromagnetic induction in 1832. Questions. Who was the earliest scientist to study on magnets? It was William Gilbert is the earliest scientist to study on magnets. Question number 2. Who established that there is a link between electricity and magnetism? Who is that scientist that proved that there is relationship between electricity and magnetism? The answer is Hans Christian Ørsted established that electricity and magnetism are linked. So for your learning circuit, poles of a magnet. The ends of a magnet are called its poles. One end is called the North Pole and the other end is called the South Pole. If you line up two magnets so that the South Pole of one faces the North Pole of the other, the magnets will pull toward each other. This is called attraction. Attraction, I should say. So look at the arrangement of the two magnets. When the two magnets are arranged or lined up, wherein the South Pole, this is the South Pole, and the North Pole faces each other, the magnets will pull toward each other. So they will move toward each other. Look at the arrow showing that they will pull together. So this is called attraction. If you line the magnets up so that two of the same poles, take note of that, two of the same poles face each other, the magnets will push away. This is called repulsion. Look at the arrangement or the lineup of the two magnets. The same poles are facing each other. The south pole of the other magnet and another south pole of the other magnet facing each other. So, their movement will be away from each other. They will push each other away. That is called repulsion, or what we call effect is repel each other. Opposite poles attract each other. So when two magnets are lined up on opposite poles, they will attract each other. But when they are aligned or lined up with facing similar poles, they repel. Look at the video clip. Opposite poles attract. They come together. But like poles repel. They push away or move away from each other. Stronger magnets can attract objects from a farther distance. So if a magnet have a stronger force, even a farther object will be attracted. When a magnet is broken, its north and south poles are retained. So even though it broke into smaller piece, still the north and south poles is present on that small piece magnet. The smaller the magnet, the weaker is the magnetic force field. Okay, of course. So the bigger the magnet, the stronger is the magnetic force. So these are the uses of magnets in our daily lives. Number 1, it keeps the doors of refrigerators tightly sealed. Number 2, power speakers of stereos, earphones, and TVs. Number 3, used to store data in computers. And then number 4, medicine. So these are the uses of magnets in our daily life. We just don't notice it, but every day we use magnets. Okay, let us now find out what have you learned from our lesson. This is your quiz about magnets. Prepare your notebooks and write down your answers. For question number 1, what term describes the area around a magnet in which magnetism is felt? A, outfield, B, solenoid, C, magnetic field, D, magnetic zone. Question number 2. Which of these materials is magnetic? A, gold, B, plastic, C, iron, D, wood. Question number 3. How are magnets used in fridge? A, to make shelves. B, to seal the door. C, to produce light. And D, to freeze foods. To freeze foods. Question number 4. Which of these is not magnetic? A, steel, C, copper, B, nickel, D, iron. Question number 5. What happens if the south poles of two bar magnets face each other? A, the magnets move together. B, one magnet would disappear. Letter C, the magnets move apart. And letter D, nothing will happen. Okay, so that ends our lesson about magnets. Once again, thank you for listening and see you next time.